So let's get right into this thing. So there will be no synopsis today because I'm doing a 2-for-1 special. Because I actually thought I did book two as a review and I have not. So I'm putting two and three together of Lashaun's The Things Unseen series. And book two is called To Be Loved. And book three is Beneath the Silence. So let's go with book two first, which is oh, okay. Before I even get into it, trigger warning, content warning. We will be talking about sexual assault, child sexual abuse, and assault. So, what is her name? Remedy. Remedy is a part of the. Well, let's go back to the first book. If we remember, Verse, who got with what was her name? Garrett. She was like the art dealer and they got their relationship going and they all have a friend group um that grew up together. So it was Verse and his sister Gia, and then we have Hakeem who is the bodyguard. Um who else is it? And then it's Remedy and it's somebody else. I forgot his name. So I hope we get a story on him too, but he works with Verse at the record company and some label. But Remedy, she's like real smart. She's like damn near a genius. And she doesn't really come around a lot. He what like Verse for for forces Jesus forces her to come out and just sit with the crew sometimes. So she'll show her face just so they can know that she's still alive and she's still here. But other than that, she's like a recluse. She stays to herself. She does not come outside. She just doesn't hang out with them. Like they're friends, but she doesn't really feel a part of the group. So then she gets a bodyguard who works under Hakeem and she fights it. She's like, I don't need no bodyguard. I do not need this man by my side. Like, get him away from me, which of course they do not do. And he begins to break her down. And it's just like, why are you like this? Why do you do the things you do? And at first, she ain't giving him no play because it's like, that's none of your business. I really don't want to talk to you about this. But they get closer and closer. He starts to like her. She realizes he's not as annoying as she's making him out to be. And, they fall in love and form a relationship. And it's at the end where Verse and G are engaged and it's like a party and she sees somebody from their past and damn near passes out. And the thing is, she never told anybody. Like, Rim's dad was like he was the man in the hood, he was that guy who took on Verse and Hakeem and basically like looked out in the neighborhood and looked out for them and put them on and all that type of stuff. And he had a best friend who was Remedy's, what was it, like goddaddy slash uncle, and he was the one that was abusing her, but like never told, and she never did tell anybody. But she also has never seen him since like her childhood. So then when he shows up at the party and walks up on her and gives her this sorry ass, I'm sorry for the past, and it's like, that's it? That's all you got? And so when she finally tells her story, it's like it's raps for him. Ain't no way he finna live another day. And so at first, because everybody knows that Hakeem has a dark past. Like he's the bodyguard. He don't really say too much. He don't do too much. He don't interact with nobody, but he's there. And it's like, no, we're not gonna ask him to do this. But Hakeem was like, I'm doing this with pleasure. And that's where her story leads off, where her and her boo, they get engaged and she's going off to live happily ever after. And Hakeem is going to take care of this. So we're jumping into his story where it starts off with him following the guy because Verse had made it because he's powerful. So he made it possible to where I'm finna fuck with all his businesses. Like we finna shut him down before we destroy him. And so when Hakeem meets up with him, he's like, I know you the best person to find out who been doing this to me. And Hakeem was like, you're not making it past tonight. What you thought of sorry was going to erase what you did. And he tried to fight for his life, but of course, like, come on now, Hakeem is Hakeem. It's over for him. And we're introduced to Eden, who is an up and coming MMA fighter. And she was at one point a part of a gang, but she decided to part ways with the gang because she want to fight. And she's like, I'm not going to be doing this for the rest of my life. Her older brother is also a part of that same gang, but he's in jail right now. And their relationship is they're like in a tough spot because he can't believe that she turned her back on the gang. And it's like, okay, I left the gang, but nigga, you still my brother, but he's more loyal to the gang than he is to family. And her ex-boyfriend was also in the gang, but she parted ways with him and he slept with her younger sister and they have a baby, which fucking blew me. I'm like, so everybody around Eden is just like basically fucking her over. And so like after was it a fight or was she working? Anyway, one night she comes home and she hears somebody in her house. So she pulls out her gun, like, who the fuck in my house? Who thinking they finna do something? Come to find out, it's her 2-year-old nephew. His trifling ass mama, her sister, left him alone in the apartment. And so when she pulls out her phone, to call her and cuss her out, she sees that she left a message like 40 minutes ago talking about, I'm going out of town. What was the baby name? I don't even know, but baby boy is at your place. Like, you see that she not there. First of all, why does she have keys to your house where she can just drop the baby off and leave? Ain't no way she should have access to your house. But anyway, but that's when we learned that the baby is by Eden's ex-boyfriend and she just left. So Eden, the next morning, she drops the baby off to her mama and she's trying to tell her mama, like, she just left him in the apartment by himself. And then before we even get into that, so we get a little backstory on the mama. The mama is one of them women who ain't gonna leave a man no matter what. Cause the daddy out running the streets, ripping and running, cheating on the mama. But after a long day of work, she comes in cooking food, talking about he gotta eat. So it's already she ain't had a good example in life of what to do in relationships. Cause look at what your mama doing. But anyway, so when she tell her about the fact that she left the baby in the apartment, the mama basically like don't say nothing about that. Then she goes on to say, it's your brother's birthday. You should take his son because she has an older nephew to go see him in jail. Excuse me. And so she's like, why would I do that? Like me and him not tight like that. Why would I do that? And she's like, because he's family and we never turn our back on family. And I'm like, see, that's another fucking thing. Yes, the fuck we do. If family don't treat us right, we definitely turn our back on family. What did Terry say? Fuck the family. And so she's like, oh, so I guess that's why we just brush over the fact that our sister would sleep with our ex-boyfriend. And the only thing her mama tells her is that you have to let it go and don't charge it to the younger sister's heart. She's still young. And Edith said, that bitch is, well, she don't call her a bitch. I'm calling her a bitch. But she's like, that motherfucker is 30. At what point does she grow up? And the fact that she got a baby and feel like she could just drop this baby at my doorstep. And I'm just, listen, if you new to my podcast, I tell everybody, I do not like children. So, and let's be clear. Just because I don't like children and don't want children, don't mean that I'm okay with abusing children. But at the same time, no, those are two separate thoughts. Because I'm not okay with abusing children, no type of way, no capacity, nothing like that. You're also not gonna drop this child off at my door and in my apartment and leave me to raise a child that you had with my man or who was my man at that time and still just get to prance it in my face. And I'm trying to understand, Eden, why did you even go to your mama's house? Why you even talk to that lady? I understand you had to drop him off. I'm sorry. Cause you want to talk. Cause the way I would have took that baby to the police station and said that the mama left the baby alone in my apartment and ran off, and I'm not responsible and I'm not keeping him. So I don't know, basically like what y'all gonna do. But see, with them type of people that she surround herself with, everybody gonna look at her as if she's wrong. And the fact that the sister's not wrong for leaving that baby in the apartment by himself. But anyway, one day she working out at the gym, and that's how she catches Hakeem's eye. Miss Kayla, shut up. We're gonna have a talk at the end. Let me get through the story. So because well, let me say this now. We end on a cliffhanger. It's gonna be a part two, which also made me mad. I'm like, okay, Verse and G story got wrapped up in their book. Remedy and I keep forgetting her dude name. Their story was wrapped up in their story. First of all, why Hakeem had to have the fucked up story that we gotta wait for another part two? Because okay, let's start with let's move on to Hakeem. Let's not start. Hakeem had a fucked up childhood. He was abused as a child. His mama would beat him as well as whatever dude she was fucking with at the time. And, she wasn't providing for him. He wasn't eating. He had worn, torn shoes and clothes. And that's actually how he met Gia and Verse as children. What they were 8. And well, not G. Verse was younger than her. So maybe he's like a year or something younger than her. But anyway, um, that's how they met as kids. He was outside, trying to stay away from his mama and her boyfriend and his friends. Excuse me, and he was nursing like hurt body parts, and she offered him some food. Verse took off his brand new shoes that he had just got for his birthday and gave him to him and was Hakeem was like, what's the catch? And he was like, you ain't never had friends before, have you? And he was like, no. He was like, that's the reason why. So that's how they all became friends. Excuse me. So, and Hakeem had 2 other older brothers, excuse me. And at one point, when they got older, when they turned 18, they were supposed to get a place, or I'm thinking he just had hopes of them getting a place and coming to rescue him from his mama because they had different mamas but the same dad. And they were killed by a gang. So, that never happened. And he spent the rest of his childhood being abused until he could get out of that situation. And so, he grows up to be what he gonna be, being versus bodyguard, and then what was it? It's like him and Eden when they meet, he introduces her to Verse, I believe, and Verse signs her with him. So that's how she gets her MMA contract to be a fighter and all that type of stuff. But what's going on with her is with the gang, she's not fully out the gang. The head of the gang, who is her ex's uncle, I believe. He comes to her with a gun, and she was already paying him, like, okay, you are quote unquote out the gang, but she still had to pay money to him. And then he was trying to sign her to him, like as a fighter, where it's not professional fighting, it's fight to the death type of fighting to make him a lot of money. Because she wouldn't even see none of the money. It was basically like, I'm using you and you just gonna do what I say, or I'ma hurt the kids. And so she was agreeing with it for a while sparking this relationship with Hakeem. And he was looking out for her, doing her real right. Until, of course, the ex was hating, and the boss was hating because when she signed that contract, it's like, y'all not profiting off her money, y'all not profiting off her no way at all. It gets to Hakeem the fact that although she was not the one who killed his brothers, because he killed them a long time ago, like he got his revenge. she knew that. Like she knew who they were because, you know, they were a part of her gang and she was in the gang at the time and she never mentioned that to him. So they break it up. Well, he breaks it off with her, like, you know, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want nothing to do with you whatsoever. And that's how the book ends. And it says to be continued. I'm like, now why Hakeem couldn't get his happily ever after? Because I got a feeling they're going, you know, eventually end up together. But I'm like, damn, both of them have been through enough already. Why? Why this couldn't be simple for them? Because low key, I feel like Verse, like, okay, yeah, they ran in the streets, but really, like, Verse had an easy life. Remedy, like, not to say it was easy because that was terrible what happened to her, but you know, she grew up to be a genius making $1 billion of money. And as soon as she got help and like talked to somebody about what happened to her, mama found a man. Like they shit breezing through. They engaged, they finna get married, everything is great. Now here come Hakeem, like life ain't been no crystal stair. And you literally like my man about to fall over. He deserved a happily ever after. And I wanna see him get it. So that's it as for now. And I'll be back with part 2 whenever that comes out. Cause it was crazy. When I started to do this episode, I was like, wait, this is part 3. Did I do part 2? So I'm going back through my episodes. I'm like, girl, you ain't even did part 2 yet. So how you gonna do part 3? So I decided to put them together. And I think I told y'all last week that I was going to see Beyonce. So yeah, there was no episode for Thursday. I didn't do one for Saturday. And now there's no episode. Wait, what? No, Monday. Monday and Thursday. Where I get Saturday from? I usually record on Saturdays. That's what it is. My bad. So I was just like, yeah. And then I just got in the groove of coming home and laying down in my bed and taking a nap because depression. So I finally got up and I was like, girl, actually do what you love to do and talk about books. So that's this episode, and I will see you guys back in the next. Peace and blessings, my beautiful people.